How are you lads? Lukas here. Today we're going to talk about work ethic, goal setting, and some other principles that are very important, and also the fact that you don't have to be necessarily a business owner to be successful. And we're going to talk about ways how to get to be a business owner, but there's a different way as well. So what I'm going to start with is that people generally are very lazy at their job, right? So I have a lot of friends as well, who work in their jobs. They're not giving 100% out of themselves. But why? That is my question. If you want to have money and you want to open your own business and you want to do this thing and you want to do that thing, there is no way that you're going to be working in a job, being lazy, doing the bare minimum, and then one day you'll decide, I want to be doing this and I want to be great. No, you're not going to make it. You have to be great working for somebody else. So start with the job where you're working at the moment, and I don't care where you're working. You could be working anywhere at all. There's always ways to do better whatever you're doing. Get promoted. If you're working in a company where you can't get promoted, change your company. So I would start with the fact that let's say you're working somewhere and you're getting whatever you're getting and you want to get a raise, right? So the way I would do it, I wouldn't just come to the boss and say, well, mister, give us more money because I have financial problems or because my missus did this and I need that. Bosses don't give a bollocks, right? They don't care. All they care, well, I care. I'm different, I'm a different breed. But bosses generally care about profits, right? So the moment you start bringing more money to your company, this is the moment where you bring in more value to your boss. And once you start bringing more value to the table, then you can approach your boss and then you can ask for more money. This is how it works. So start with being great at where you are. Rule number uno. What time do you start? If you start at 8 o'clock, why don't you show up at 7:45? If you're finished at 5, why don't you stay till 7:15? Make sure that the boss sees it, right? So let's say Henry, when he started working with me, he was just employed on a normal position. Do you know what I mean? But this guy would be coming here at 6:30 in the morning, staying late. I never asked him for it, and he never did that. Do you know what I mean? But look, over time, 2 years later, poof, he's running 6 companies. He's on a commission from every each company. He gets wage here, wage there. This guy will be self-made millionaire in a few years, working for somebody. So what I'm saying is that you don't have to do what I do to be successful. You can also find the right company and you can work for them, give the 100% out of yourself, and you'll still make it. And then when you're so great working for somebody else, you learn all the aspects of the business, then you might go on your own. But other than that, if you're just working somewhere being a lazy little feck, and then you decide to open a business and you think, oh, well, I'm a business owner now, I'll be working 5 to 6 hours a day and I'll be grand. That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen at all. See, the thing is that if you start your own business, right, you're gonna have to work like a horse. Because right now, for me, I still work like a horse. I work 12 to 15 to 17 hours a day. No problem. All day, every day. That's including Saturdays and Sundays. And I don't have to. Right? But you will. When you start your business, you have to learn how to do copyright because you can't be sending people emails if you don't know how to properly structure the email, right? So copyright, you have to learn that. Now, how the hell are you going to marry this with your job if you're already working 10 hours a day? But you'll have to. So every day when I'm driving around, I don't listen to radio. I always have my phone stuck on the dash, connected to my radio, and I always listen to educational videos. And that is every single day, notoriously. I usually do it from the morning till about 12 o'clock in the day. And after 12 o'clock, I kick some tunes in and I listen to some music maybe. But generally speaking, I would never put on music in the morning. I would never put on the radio. The problem with the radio and television is that radio and television is like a chewing gum for your brain. There's no value in it whatsoever, right? So you could be driving around, you could be putting all this great knowledge into your brain while you're driving, but instead of that, you're just having a knowledge chewing gum. You're becoming an encyclopedia. No, you're becoming basically like an encyclopedia of knowledge, unusable knowledge. That's what it is, right? So getting back to the topic, if you're working somewhere, I don't care what you do, come back home. So before you come home, ask the boss, what are we going to do next day? What are we doing the day after? What are we doing there? And the boss is going to tell you, well, we're going to do this and this and this. Go home, YouTube the bollocks out of that topic and come back to work the next day and you already know what you're going to be doing. Learn everything. Surprise your boss. Learn how to use specific tools. Learn how to name them professional way. Show the boss that you care about your job. And give me a good reason why not. Give me a good reason why you shouldn't be the best at wherever you're working. You know, like one reason. There's no way. You know when I laugh? I laughed the other day. A friend of mine, not necessarily a close friend of mine, a friend of a friend that I was talking to, he said, "Oh, I got a job here and here. Oh, it's a great job. I don't have to do nothing." And I just looked at him and I didn't say anything, but I just shook my head. And inside of my head, I said, "You fucking idiot. What you mean? You got a job and you're bragging that you don't have to do anything in it? You've no responsibilities. You know, you could be replaced like that? I mean, that's a great job to you. Do you know what I mean? What you should search for is more responsibilities. Go to your boss. Ask how to bring more into the table. Ask for more stuff. You know, just become a workhorse. You know, there's no other way. Look, there might be some other business gurus over there who'll tell you go on the internet, sell this, do that. But I can only teach you and can tell you whatever I've done in the past, and I can give you a version of it where I can tell you what I've done wrong and what I would do different. This is in this podcast, I'm not filling anybody full of shit here. I'm only telling you what I've done, and I can only upgrade it a little bit better to tell you what way I would do it now. This is what it is, you know? So, you know, the way my company looks now, that I have a guy here, Vito, is my editor guy. Then I have another video guy. Then I have a photograph here full-time. And then I have a graphic designer. Then I have Henry. So whenever I need something done, I can just say to the guys, right, boom, in the morning I say, right, you do this, we're gonna do this, blah, blah, blah. But before that, when I was starting the business, I had to do everything myself, you know? So that's what I'm saying. If you're working somewhere right now, start learning all of those things while you're working for somebody. Go to work for your 8 hours, come back home, learn how to do video editing. Download the easiest software. I think the easiest software to edit videos is iMovie on your Mac. Very easy. You can learn how to do videos, learn how to do YouTube channel, because every business should have a YouTube channel. It doesn't have to be active. You don't have to post on it every week. You don't have to become a YouTuber. But you need a YouTube channel so you can post at least 3 jobs that you have done. Why? That's a good question. So the reason why you need the YouTube channel is that when you're sending people quotation, right? Whenever you send your client a quote, on the quotation, you should answer all of the questions that they could possibly have for you, right? So when I'm doing a quote for somebody, first of all, this is me, this is what I do, this is what's wrong with your particular project, this is our proposal here, this is a job that we've done before, here is a link to exactly the same job that was done here and here, here's the number for the guy who we did the job for so you can ring him, blah, 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 this is the warranty, blah, blah, blah. So when the client receives the quote, he has absolutely no questions that he could ask. So, you know, I have said it before that giving business and quoting people is about giving people offers that are almost stupid to refuse. Like when the client looks at the quote, the price is competitive, even maybe higher than it should be. But when he looks at the quote, when it's structured properly, he has no other way than to say yes. And this is the way you should go, you know? So learn video editing, learn copyright, right? Why copyright is so important? Well, if you're going to start opening businesses, well, let's start with that you can't just have one business. Whoever opens a business and he or she thinks that he's going to make millions in that one business is living in a cuckoo land. Only fraction of people in the world achieve success that way. There was an interview with millionaires down in America, and I can't remember how many they brought to the table, but let's just for the argument say, let's say they had 15 millionaires in the table, right? And they asked them how many businesses were they in on average before they achieved the success, and they said that the average was 17 businesses. So average millionaire goes through about 17 businesses in order to find the right one and in order to learn all of the aspects of business before you achieve great success. You know, especially in today's day and age, people go out of business like that because of the new technology. Like somebody can open next door to you, do what you do. Do it 10% cheaper, 10% better, and 10% faster, and poof, you're out of business. And I don't care what you do and how good you are, you know? So, you know, that's why people often ask me, why do I have so many businesses? Why do I try this? Why do I try that? It's because I don't have a private jet yet. You know, I don't have a brand new G-Wagon, and I want one. And I'm not going to stop until I have all those things, because I want the best things in my life. And this is the way to get them, right? So learn video editing, learn copyright. Let's say when you're making your first website. How do you go about building a website? Well, you have to find a company that's going to build a website, and let's say you're going into some carpentry. Let's say you're going to be doing staircases, right? Or some high-end carpentry. You're going to get somebody to design the website, right? The web designers, they're usually some guys who haven't got much clue about carpentry, let's say. So where you go, oh yeah, I want this, there's the pictures. But what about all the text? What about the structure of the website? What about this? What about that? So that's why, excuse me, you need to learn copyright because all of the text is very, very important. Make sure that there's no spelling mistakes. And this comes from a foreigner who didn't even speak English like 10 or 12 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So I had to learn those things hard. What is another good skill in business? Another good skill in business that you must learn is time management, right? Time management is a key. My time management skills are on such a level now that if I told you some of the tricks and tips that I do, you would just shake your head and say, no way. Like even when I go for a piss into the toilet, I literally sit down because in the time that I'm sitting down for the 20 seconds, I can answer 5 comments on TikTok. This is how extreme I am. I'm not telling you that you have to be that way, right? But this is how I am. Another one is waking up early in the morning, and this is also connected to going to sleep. I always go to sleep at the latest at 10 o'clock. I'd go to sleep. I wake up at 4 o'clock a.m., sometimes half 3. But why do I do that? That seems pretty extreme, doesn't it? Well, I do it for the reason that if I work, I'm already in the office at 5 a.m. Everybody in the office starts at 9. Some of the guys start at 7, but majority of the lads start at 9. So from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 4 hours of uninterrupted work in the office every single day, right? But the funny thing is that the 4 hours of uninterrupted work actually equals 8 hours. Yeah, because my phone doesn't ring. Nobody comes into my office. Nobody's talking to me. Nobody rings me. I can just focus on making shit happen. But imagine my competition doesn't do that. Whoever my competition is, generally speaking, they probably wake up at 8. They go do this. They get a coffee. Blah blah blah. They work like the other lads. That's why I am a miles away ahead of my competition, even though I'm in the business only a few years. You know? So let's say the year has a 300 working days, yeah? Well, I don't know how many exactly that is if you actually exclude Christmas and Sunday. Let's just call it 300 working days. So my year has 600 working days. I do 2 or 3 years worth of work in 1 year. Because I stay late, I don't waste time. Even the things like going to the shops. I go to Tesco only once a month. Once a month. I go to Tesco once a month, buy myself some lemons, I buy myself some honey and some organic stuff. And that's it. And then I have a company that makes my food. There's a delivery guy that comes 3 times a week to my house and gives me 3 full meals for that day. And I just bring them. I have a little pan here and I just do it. So my lunchtime takes me about 15 minutes. I don't have to go to the shops. I don't waste time. I don't buy any sugary stuff in the shop while I'm getting my chicken roll, you know. That's also very important. You know, if you want to be working on a high level, this is what I would suggest. There's a company that makes the food for me, which is not really a company. This is just my trainer's wife does it. They only have like a couple of people. But you can find those companies. There's a lot of them out there, you know. I think the Clean Cut Meals are one of them. I've tried a couple of them. You know, the one I have is most successful, but it saves me a lot of time. Imagine if I had to go to Tesco after work and go home and do the dinner and all this. All of that is eliminated. So I don't clean my house. I don't iron my shirts. I don't cook for myself. So all of that time can be reinvested in making my empire better. This is also what you could look into on the later stage, you know. But coming back to the topic, being great working for somebody else where you are right now. If you're starting from nothing, this is what I would suggest. You know, give 100% out of yourself working for somebody. And also, you know, why not listening to audiobooks? I'm always going to be talking about it. And I'm also going to tell you why most of the business gurus don't tell you to do it. This is a good one, right? Because look at, if you're following any of the business gurus, why are they not telling you to educate yourself? Did you ever think about that? You know? I'm not going to name anybody, but there's loads of them on the internet, even the locals here, you know. They tell you not to read books. And there's even one big one, international business guru right now, who says, I don't read books. Books are boring, this and that. But yet he has an incredible knowledge base about sales. And then when he talks, he refers to some books. But then he's telling you not to read. The reason why the business gurus tell you not to read books is that they want you to become great using their business course or reading just their book. And you get me? So this is it. I think I'm not gonna mention any names here, but this is one of the particular ones. He openly says that, I don't read books. My bollocks. Where did you get your little knowledge if you don't read books? You know, you could gain your knowledge by making mistakes and learning from your mistakes. But I think that this is extremely stupid, because every single problem that you can have in your company so already happens to somebody else, and they wrote about it in a book, or they recorded a video, or they recorded a podcast, and you can just absorb that knowledge. So that's what I do. That's why I don't make a lot of mistakes. I do make shitloads of them, but not as many as I would make if I didn't learn. So let's say you're in the carpet business, you're selling carpets or something. You should know every single thing about carpets. You should be dreaming about carpets. You should get up and work while you're brushing your teeth. You should be thinking about carpets and thinking about some more knowledge you could get. Go around Europe, search the internet for some courses. Start becoming great in that very topic. Once you become great, once you're making money, put the business on autopilot and do not jump onto another one. A very common question also I get is, how do you manage so many businesses? How do you do so much stuff? Jesus, you must be blah, blah, blah. And the answer to that is that, once you start a business, from the day one, you should already assume that you're not gonna work in it. The stupidest thing you can assume that when you're opening a business, you're gonna work in it. That's a slave mind. You're basically gonna build yourself a jail. I have so many friends who claim that they are business owners and they're this successful guy. But guess what? You break your leg today and you're bollocks. The business should be running on a full and absolute autopilot, and you should be just coming to the business every day and looking at it and saying, right, how can we make this better? How can we make this better? I think I've said it before on some podcasts, but or sometimes I will be repeating some of the knowledge. Also, very important, let's say you find a book that you resonate with, right? And you learn a lot of stuff from it. Don't just read it once. This is key. There's some books that I have on repeat on my audiobook. All the books by Brian Tracy, I listen to them. I know them by heart at this stage, So this should be like your favorite movie. How many times have you seen Titanic? How many times have you seen The Avatar? Same with knowledge books. They should not just be read once. And I've learned this. I remember when I started my journey of personal growth, there was this first book that caught my attention. And I think the book was called The Little Book of Yes Attitude by Jeffrey Gitgomer or something like that. And that book was about yes attitude, and the guy in the book, a couple of times, every 2 chapters, I think he was reminding me in that book, don't just listen to this. I think it was an audiobook. I didn't actually read that one. It was an audiobook. But the guy was completely, all the time repeating, listen to it again in a day, listen to it again in a month, listen to it again in 5 years, and keep re-listening to it. And I did exactly that. And I remember every single chapter of that book till today, So even the podcast, I think you should go back and re-listen to your favorite podcast every while, so you know every single bit of it, And that goes across all types of knowledge, Bob Proctor was always talking about How to Win Friends and Influence People book. He would be reading that book on repeat all the time, So once you master a couple of key books, you don't have to read all of them, You can pick. There's probably 10 books that will make sure that you will be successful. If you just conquer the world using those 10 books, you'll make it, What are we going to talk about now? Hold on. Czekaj, to wytniesz. Another important aspect of the business is goal setting. You have to learn about goal setting. So if you don't learn about goal setting, you'll be basically like a boat that's put on a sea and has no directions. Is it gonna get to the treasure island? Fucking hardly. It might, but the chances are pretty low. If you just put a boat with an engine and has no steering wheel, right? It's just gonna go wherever. It's just gonna go whatever direction you put it to. But let's say you put a boat on a sea or on a lake and you give it a specific direction. You put a captain in charge and say, go there, this is what you have to do, blah, blah, blah. He will get to that island. He might get through a storm, he might do this, he might do that, but he will get it eventually. So that's why I say that goals are important. So how do you start doing goal setting, right? So the way I started, I'm going to tell you the way I did it. I'm going to tell you exactly the way I did it, right? So when I read Brian Tracy's book about goal setting, he said specifically, this is not something I invented. I'm just repeating some knowledge that I have from that book. And that book was written, I think, in the 80s. And it's a universal knowledge. It works all the time. So the way you start is you get a spreadsheet, you get a piece of paper. I always have a book where I write down my goals. And I remember when I started, I was working for somebody, for my old boss during the recession, and was only working like 2 to 3 days a week when when they needed me, because I was just a laborer. I was only digging ditches. I have no trade, by the way. I mean, I started from absolute zero, the lowest type of a job that you could have. They would basically just ring me when somebody had to dig the foundation. That was my job. Look, I'm not embarrassed, to tell you that. So, the way I started was I would pick up this book and I would listen to exactly what the guy said. And he said that if you want to be making certain amount per week or per month, write that in a present tense. So I remember for me back then, that was in 2010, I think. So 600 a week, that was a hefty wage for me. Do you know what I mean? Because I was only getting like 3 or 4, So, so I said to myself, right, what if I doubled it? What if I was getting double of what I'm getting? So I wrote in that book that I want to be making 600 euro a week. And every morning, I would say, I make 600 euro a week. I am great. I am the best at what I do. I am punctual. I am this. It has to be done in the present tense. I don't know why. It just does. It just has to be done that way, right? Look, there's many spiritual books that explain that, right? But I'm not going to go into that woofy poofy stuff here in this podcast, right? We're going to be focusing on knowledge that is conventional knowledge, right? Let's say. So you write it in the present tense and you have to visualize it, right? But the problem with visualization is that nobody ever teaches that, right? Why? The reason why is that there's no money to be made in it. If the TV started telling us to be successful, visualize, use the meditation, do this, do that, there would be no people to stack shelves in Tesco. I mean, if everybody became successful in the world, nobody would deliver my pizza for €2. Do you know what I mean? So that's why the TV can't teach you that. Like, imagine if all the knowledge on TV was free and it was all about being successful and being productive and all that, there would be just successful people everywhere and the world wouldn't function the way it functions, So there has to be broke people out there for the world to exist. That's why you're watching this. Look, you're not in that bracket. I said it before, that not one person who watches this podcast is an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Because people who are stupid and they don't want to do great things from life, they would turn on this podcast and they would stop watching after about 5 minutes. Their brain couldn't comprehend anything that I'm saying. So whoever is watching me right now wants more from life, wants to have more money, and wants to be successful, because you're probably watching me on TikTok or on Facebook and you're saying, Jesus, this guy knows what he's talking about. I want to be a little bit more like him. That's why you're here. And I'm glad that you're here, because you will make it. Once you keep listening to this podcast, you will achieve success if you just apply everything that I'm saying here. But another problem is that people don't usually apply. Okay, there is a term called knowledge junkie. Right? Who is a knowledge junkie? Knowledge junkie is a person who reads and absorbs a lot of knowledge but never applies anything, right? I even have that in my company, because I always push people to read books, to listen to this, do that. Here's a book about time management. They'd read it or they'd listen to it. Oh yeah, I listened to it. Yeah. But then they still keep doing the same shit, the same mistakes. Some people just cannot be taught. And you have to realize that as well. You have to find what your strong points are. What are your strong skills, let's say, Because business is not for everybody. What I do is not for everybody. Working 17 hours a day is not for everybody. People always say, oh, Jesus, you're going to get burned. You're going to get burned out. No, you will not. Because if you work on your passion and you work towards your goals at the level that I'm working, I don't feel like any of this is work. In fact, somebody told me the other day, oh, did you see this movie? Oh, you should watch this movie, blah, blah, blah. And do you know what I said to the guy? If I wanted to listen to that movie, I would literally have to schedule time off work to watch it. Literally, my life is work every single minute. Even when I'm with a girl or when I'm somewhere, I'm always thinking. Even when I'm in a pub, I'm ordering a drink. I'm thinking, geez, how much was that drink? Oh, geez, that's a good whiskey. That was €28. How many of those shots is in that bottle? Jesus, if I opened the place and I started doing that, I would be making this and this. How much is she charging? My brain is always on. It's always thinking about ways to make money, make myself great, and make people around me greater. This is all I think about, and this is what you should think about if you want this kind of life as well. So, write this down. Stop being a lazy bollocks, right? Stop being a lazy guy. Even if you work for somebody, even if you don't work, even if you don't like your boss, be great for yourself, not for your boss, This is the only way to be successful when at later stage when you open your own business. Very important aspect of the business is also hiring great people, right? You need to attract great people into your life. And I'm going to tell you, I struggled for a long time. And the reason why is that absolutely nobody is going to work for you until you can show them shit, right? Do you know who is a great example of this? Elon Musk and SpaceX. So Elon Musk said it repeatedly in his interviews. Then when he started his rocket company, all of the engineers around the world, when he was asking them to come and work for him, they were telling him that he is crazy. This is not gonna work. We're never gonna come to work for you. But he didn't give up. Because when he started the rocket company, he just started it from an office. You know what I mean? So, it was pretty hard to convince people to work for him. And the same is in business. Like, in order to attract great people, the great people need to see potential in you. You need to sell them a vision. Do you know what I mean? You need to be full of energy. Like, when you're talking to them, yeah, we're gonna make money. We're gonna start doing this, and maybe we're gonna achieve some success. You know what I mean? No, it cannot be like that. When you are hired in somebody, you have to show them the plan for the business. You have to show them this. This is gonna be your commission. You're gonna make money with me. Bam, bam, tap on the back. Do you know what I mean? Energy, full on. Because the thing is that if you hire bad managers, you will go down like a light, and never, ever, ever employ your mates as managers without the experience. I've done it multiple times, and all I did was lose friends. You know what I mean? Like, I would look at somebody and I would think, oh yeah, Jesus, he might be great for this because he has a cop on in this type of a business. And I just thought that you can teach somebody management skills, but you can't. Some people cannot be taught. If somebody was working somewhere for 5 or 10 years, let's say as a example, let's say someone was working as a carpenter, right? And then you want him to run your company because you do carpentry, and you get him for a management position. That guy is not gonna know anything about management. It would be better to hire a general manager who was running a restaurant and then teach him the carpentry skill, teach him all the terms, right? To manage the business. I'm telling you, because you need the talker. Management is about talking, is about time management, people. Also, human resources, HR, how to fire people, how to hire people. All of this is knowledge. It's a trade in itself, being a manager. So this is a very important skill. So remember I said that since you open a business, you should already assume that you will not work in that business. But who's going to run it? Well, you need the GM, you need the general manager. So I'd say the fifth or the sixth person when you open a service-based business, the fifth or sixth person should already be a manager who's going to help you manage those guys and who can you start teaching. And if that manager is no good, fire them fast. So the rule to success is also hire fast and fire fast as well. Like in my company, there's only absolute legends working in here. And it's not like that I fire them very quickly. They usually just leave themselves because they can't keep up, So hiring great people is a key. Another great way to attract good quality people is having strong social media. And this is something that I didn't learn from books. I just learned it on my own mistake, let's say, because back in the day I didn't have a great social media and I couldn't attract good people. But now we get messages every day from lads asking could they work for us, and not necessarily because the money is great, not necessarily because of this. They always say the same thing: I want to be part of your company because it looks the business, it looks like it's professional, everybody is following the health and safety guidelines, the boys are well looked after. We get lads who come to here literally every single day and they ask us, and then you hear people on the internet saying, oh, there's a shortage of good workers. No, there's just shortage of good bosses. That's what it is, Also, quick comment here. If you have any questions on what should I record video about, let me know in the comments. I'll answer them straight away in the next podcast. We're going to do like a Q&A. Also, what we could do is let me know who you think we could bring to the podcast here. But I want to get people here who are, let's say, business coaches, people who do many businesses at the same time, people who achieve great success. If you know somebody like that and you think that they would be willing to come and share their knowledge and expertise, let me know. We'll contact them and we'll get them onto the podcast. I didn't do any podcast past 2 weeks because I had two guys, and one of the weekends the gentleman canceled. The next weekend I had to cancel because I had a training somewhere. But I want to be consistent, and we want to be making one good podcast every single week, Okay, check. Okay, so we're going to be basically jumping on a couple of topics. The way we're going to do this podcast, I'm just going to rumble about some stuff that will make you a better person, right? The next topic that you should start learning about is how to make generational wealth and how to pass it on, right? So this podcast is all about success. It's not just about money. Remember that you don't have to be rich and have loads of money in order to be successful, right? I said this before, like for example, let's say who? Mother Teresa, was she minted? Did she have millions of euros or dollars? Probably not. But was she successful? Hell yes. So don't be thinking that you have to have loads of money to be successful. That's one. So what I want to get back to is, in order to be truly successful, you have to look at how you're gonna make your money and then how you're gonna pass it on. I'm already thinking about it, even though I don't have any kids just yet. I'm already thinking about it. Because how many times have you seen that somebody makes their money, they give it to their kids, and then the kids blew it in a couple of years, because they haven't been taught how to hold on to the money, what things to buy. They spend their money on liabilities instead of assets. Let's talk about that for a minute. So I don't spend any money whatsoever on liabilities. What is a liability? A liability could be your second car that doesn't make you money. It just sits there, it costs you money, right? And what is an asset? Well, asset could be a van. Van is always making you money. So think about the ways that you spend money. A Gucci top for 2 grand is a liability. That doesn't make money. So I don't spend money on anything that doesn't make money. In fact, I'm living on this normal wage like all of the rest of the lads, maybe a little bit bigger. But generally speaking, I don't waste any money on stupid things just yet. Probably I will. My goals are so high that right now, even with the success that I have, I feel like I'm only starting, right? So I'm willing to subsidize whatever I'm doing now just to be super rich in the future. That's my motto. I want a helicopter, I want the boat, I want it all, right? But right now I can't afford shit, so I'm not. I rather just drive my vintage G wagon and an old American live in a rented house. I'm renting. I don't even own my own gaff. And often people ask me, Lucas, why don't you get yourself a house now? And I say to them, well, I did apply for a mortgage, but all they were willing to give me last year was 400,000 because I was a no, I was there 2 years ago looking for a mortgage, right? I don't want a gaff for 400,000. Why? Well, I'm already living in a smelly 3 bedroom house. So what the fuck is the? So I already live in a 3 bedroom house. Because I already live in a smelly 3 bedroom house. So what would be the point of me leaving that house and moving into another smelly 3 bedroom house? This is not what I want. I know exactly what my house is gonna look like. I know what the entrance is gonna look like. I know how many cars I'm gonna fit in the garage. I know how many sockets is gonna be in the garage. I know everything how it's gonna. I know everything about it, right? So I'm not willing to stop until I achieve that goal. And by the way, that goal, my house is written down to the specific details and it's sitting in my drawer. This is also important. You should have everything on paper in the drawer. And not because you're some geek. It's because, if you start reading books about goal setting, you will find that people who write down their goals are more likely to achieve them by about 47%. 47% more likely to achieve your goals once they are written down in a present tense and they are achievable. Just try it. What is stopping you from trying it? Get up half an hour early in the morning and start writing your goals in the present tense. Rewrite them every day. Do it. Actually, let's do it. Why don't you just set yourself, fuck it, this Lucas makes sense in it. Why don't I give it a go? Go to the shop, get yourself a paper, get yourself a pen if you don't have one. If you have one, that's grand. Get up in the morning and start writing shit. I have this and this. I am this and this. I am extremely punctual. I am always on time. I am the best. I work hard. Blah, blah, blah. I earn such and such and such. Do it. And do it for minimum of a month. Just do it, right? And then thank me later. And if you don't want to do it, give me a good reason why wouldn't you do it. You know what I mean? If you say that you don't have time, set your alarm for half an hour early. Anyway, everybody should be getting up at 6 a.m. regardless of who you are and what you do. 6 a.m. is the minimum anybody with dignity should be getting up at. Because why not? Why not? You know what I mean? This is when the money is made. This is when I train. This is when I listen to stuff. This is when I make my business better. Well, obviously, some people are different. If your body clock tells you that you have to sleep till 10 o'clock and then work late night, there are people like that, and they are also extremely successful. So whatever I'm telling you is based on my journey and my success, so I can only pass on to you whatever I have done, right? But I can also tell you that there are people who do it differently. So you need to find the best way for you, okay? Okay. So let's say you already became great at what you do, you already became this extremely good employee, and now you want to start a side hustle. How do you do it? How do I start a side hustle? Well, the way I would do it is that, let's say you work for your boss 5 days a week, right? Keep your job. Don't ever make the mistake of quitting your job and starting another business. People are always saying, "Oh, Jesus, I would like to start doing something myself, but I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my income. I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage or my rent." And then I say to people, why the hell did you just assume that you have to quit your job in order to start side hustle? That is a myth, you know? The way to do it is set up your website, set up everything, make sure that the phone is ringing, and start doing your Nixers on Saturdays and Sundays. You can just fill people full of shit. You can say, "Oh, yeah, we're booked out, but I can come and do it on a Saturday if that's okay. I can do it on a Sunday if that's okay." And start doing your jobs on Saturdays and Sundays. Save every single penny of that money, you know? And don't be the guy that, makes a couple of hundred extra a week because he did a side hustle, and then all of a sudden he needs a PlayStation. All of a sudden you need a new bike. All of a sudden you need this. All of a sudden the girlfriend wants a boob job. No, you do not spend your money on stupid things until you achieve success. I wasn't spending any money on myself until I achieved it. I was living on bread and water, literally. Well, I partied a lot as well, but that's another story. Right. So once you start doing that, then when you're getting too booked, you can tell your boss. I think I said it before on a different podcast. So when you said, what you say to your boss, basically, "Listen, boss, Mr. Bossman, I can't be working Fridays anymore. But why? This and this. So the boss usually will tell you to fuck off. What you mean you're not coming to work on Friday? Do you know what I mean? So then you tell the boss, "Listen, mister, I'm so good, and I think..." Nie, czekaj, to wytniesz, Wiciu, to wytniesz. So the boss will usually tell you to fuck off. But this is why I told you before that you have to become great at what you do. Because if you become an asset to the company, the boss will be still delighted to have you Monday to Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you'll be doing your own jobs. And this is also going to teach you a work ethic. Because you're going to be working like a horse. You're going to be working 8 hours in your job. You're going to be coming home. You're going to be learning. You're going to be getting prepared for the weekend. And once you do that, that will teach you how to work 12 hours a day and not think nothing of it. 12 to 16 hours a day, no probs, But let's say you quit your job and you start doing your own business. It'll be very hard for you to switch from working 8 hours a day to work 12 hours a day, right? So that's why I say that you have to become great at working for somebody else. And I'm going to be repeating it all the time, because why not? There is no reason why you shouldn't give 100% out of yourself. There is always a way to be better at what you do. And I don't care. You can start, even if you think that you're already the best since sliced bread, there's even things like uniform, how to present yourself, work on your physique, go to the gym. Even with my tight schedule, I still manage to go to the gym. And whenever I don't, there's a different rule in the office now. So what we do is, I said to the lads, right, every hour, soon as the clock hits 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever the time is, on the full hour, everybody jumps from the desk and we do push-ups. We do push-ups, we have some dumbbells here, so we train for a couple of minutes every hour, That keeps me fit, that keeps the lads fit, keeps your blood floating, it keeps you in a positive mindset, And positive mindset is extremely important in business, That's why people love working for me, because I'm an extremely positive guy now. I wasn't always that way. I had to learn this shit, I was extremely negative back in the day, in fact, But then I've learned how to do it, and I applied every single thing that I've learned from books, and now I'm this fucking walking positivity that attracts great people. Literally, whoever works here with me, they're absolutely delighted that they work with me. Apparently I'm the best boss ever, and everybody I have here, they're the best employees ever, and everything is just running smoothly like a clock, So I would say train, learn, and repeat. Okay? Also, another good tip I could give you guys is have a guru, right? Have a guru, have a mentor. Sorry, mentor is is better word, But instead of having one mentor, I would strongly suggest to do what I do. I have a mentor for every area of my life, right? So I might have a gym mentor. Every time I go onto my YouTube, I have all my mentors in all different categories, and I subscribe to just them. So if I go onto my YouTube now, I wouldn't see one single music video in my YouTube. It's all about knowledge, right? So I have a one guy that teaches me about fitness. Every time I see his video, he's teaching me something about nutrition. He's teaching me something about this. Every time I go onto YouTube, I might see somebody who's teaching me about money. Then I have a guy who teaches about law of attraction. Then I'm into some spirituality. Then I'm some into cars. And then I have other YouTube channels that teach me about my specific trades, you know. So, people usually have one guru and they pick one aspect of the success area and they master that. But they're very bad at the rest. I'll give you a good example here. Your typical personal trainer who is jacked like a fucking tank, right? Look at this guy's private life, right? Well, I can tell you that a lot of them are broke, a lot of them are miserable, but they look the shit, Don't become that guy. Also, don't become the guy who buys a motorbike and your entire life becomes motorbikes. I was in a couple of motorbike clubs. I drive a motorbike. Right now I don't have one because I sold it before Christmas. But generally speaking, people who have motorbikes, they haven't got a fucking pot to piss in and they haven't got anything else to talk about, just the motorbikes. Why would you do that to yourself? Be great at the bike, learn how to do it, learn everything about it, keep it there and move on to the next one. You know what I mean? Who's to say that you have to be good at one thing in your life? Be great at everything. Then jump into relationships. How can I be great at the relationships? What is the story with this female thing? Do you know what I mean? What is the story with the man mentality? Why are we so different? What's the story with the emotions? Do you know what I mean? How to tackle that? How to get rid of negative energy in your relationship? All of this is out there. You just need to search it and learn it. Because if you depend on the TV to tell you, or if you depend on your neighbor to tell you, you're wrong. Nobody's gonna tell you shit. Because the neighbor doesn't want you to be successful and the TV wants you to be a bloody slave. This is what TV is, That's why I know I will never be put anywhere on TV. Even if TV contacted me to do something, I would probably say, well, what would I say? I'd probably go on and I would be talking about success. But generally speaking, they won't do it. And that's why you don't see business gurus on fucking podcasts or interviews anywhere, TV is only there to keep you distracted, I always say, and I will always be repeating, that there is no room for TV in a person who is interested in success. Yeah. In fact, I will never have a TV connected to any UPC or whatever you call them, any of the providers, I have 3 TVs in my home and I have 4 TVs in my workplace, but they're all connected only to YouTube. I don't even have Netflix. I wouldn't even have Netflix. The reason why I don't have Netflix is because I had a Netflix. And guess what? The moment you start watching some series, this shit is addictive. Every single series on it is designed in such a way to get you hooked. And it's actually very bad because how many times have you put on something and you've watched 8 episodes on a row? Imagine if you put that time and energy to learn Spanish. What? What do you think you would be? You'd be fluent in Spanish in no time. But yet, you know everything about Prison Break or some other dumb shit, And this is truly the price of success, If somebody asks you, if somebody asked me today, what is the true price of success? I would say, well, I never played Grand Theft Auto. I don't know what Manchester United means because I don't watch football. I think it's stupid. In fact, I really think this is silly. In fact, I think that if I walked around the stadium and I interviewed everybody who is watching football, there would be not one truly successful businessman. Because there is no reason to be watching football and not playing it. I understand people who play football, they go over there, they make shit happen, they make loads of money, they are fit as hell. But people who watch football, a lot of you are probably watching and you're saying, oh, this Lukas is fucking attacking me now. I'm sorry, but there's not one good advantage or one good reason why you should watch football. And you might say, oh, well, it relaxes me, it's something to do, blah, blah, blah. Well, the reason why you're doing that is because you need a distraction. Because I wouldn't watch a football game even if somebody paid me. I seriously wouldn't. There's no outcome. There's no value in it whatsoever. Playing video games is another one. So, lads are willing to play Grand Theft Auto and they're willing to have this character in the game. They're gonna bang bitches. They're gonna go to the gym in the game, but they're not willing to do it in the real life. And this gives you a false sense of, what is the word? A false sense of fulfillment? Let's just call it that. There's a specific term for that, And this is gonna get more dangerous and dangerous because if I follow a lot of guys who are into artificial intelligence and VRs, right? So the video games in the next 10 years, they will be almost indistinctive of real life. I don't know if I use the right word here. Excuse my language sometimes. Sometimes I'm gonna make some mistakes here. because this is not my native language, But in a few years, the video games will be almost like a real life, You will not be able to tell the difference. You'll be able to have sex in a video game just like you have it right now. I'm telling you, yeah, that's what Elon Musk is saying. And whatever Elon Musk is saying is usually right, This guy has his own, I think it's called, what is his company called, where they're planning to have a chip, that the chip is going to be implanted in your brain. And your brain will be connected to Wi-Fi. Yeah. What's the name of that chip? Just Google it, you'll know. But basically, he wants to turn people to a cyborg. So the way they're gonna start doing it, like even if somebody has a problem where they can't walk, your spine is broken or something, they're gonna be able to rewire all that and send the. Czekaj, to wytniesz. So they will be able to connect your nerves directly to your brain, and even people who have been on a wheelchair for years, they'll be able to walk thanks to that chip. You'll also be able to, let's say you want to learn Spanish. Instead of sitting and learning Spanish for a couple of months, you'll be able just to download Spanish into your brain. Like, this is what they're talking about. And this is only a few years ahead. Like, it's all of that stuff is crazy. That's why I love listening and watching about AI, artificial intelligence, because it's going to change the world. And a lot of businesses will go out of business, So I strongly suggest that if you have a family to provide for and you want to have a good future, you have to run multiple businesses, because some of them will fail. I'd say that 80% of them will fail in the next 5 years, with the way we're expanding. Okay, so maybe let's talk about different types of businesses, right? Because, some people are looking to be millionaires. Some people just want to work with passion, doing some vetting or doing some care, So I'm going to give you my quick analysis of what businesses bring the most money and what businesses you should go into and what businesses you shouldn't go into. Because let's say you want to be successful and you want to have plenty of money and you pick to be, let's say a personal trainer. Well, it's going to be very hard to become rich being a personal trainer. Why? Well, personal trainer, even if you charge 50 euro an hour, or even if you charge 200 euro an hour, nobody can charge that. Well, very few. But even if you charge that, you're only going to be limited to the amount of hours you can produce, right? But let's say you provide a training course and you sell it for 200 euro. Well, that's a lot different, because you can sell, if your marketing is good, you can sell 200 of them worldwide in a minute, So service-based businesses are slow to make millions in, but if you start selling something, that's a completely different ballgame. That's why a lot of the e-commerce is a successful business. I'm not necessarily in an e-commerce business, but I might move into it, because the good thing about it is that we can pick one good product, and once you market it properly, you can sell it. And once you start selling it, you can sell it nationwide. Once this is your website, there's your product, and there's the payment option. All you have to do is bring people from around the world to your website and buy that shit, How do you do it? Well, right now, the best way to do it is through TikTok. In 4 weeks, you can gain 10,000 followers on TikTok, and your views could be getting 50 or 60,000 views for free. If you just post 4 videos a day in a specific way, you can achieve that. But the funny thing is that every one of those 50,000 people who watch your single TikTok, every one of them is your potential customers. All you have to do is you divert them into your website and let them buy your stuff. So marketing back in the day was completely different. Like, let's say 10 years ago, if somebody wanted to connect with 50,000 people, do you know how much that would cost? Oh, you'd have to print flyers, let's say. You'd have to distribute the flyers. You'd have to design them. This would be weeks. And then they would be distributed, and then you'd get maybe 1 or 2 calls. Now, you record one TikTok, and it can be seen by hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And every one of them is your potential client. And this is also another good business that you could get into, being a TikToker, What you have to do is you become good at the TikTok, make sure you start getting the views, and then you go into any of the affiliate marketing websites. There's websites out there where you can go and you can pick products, and in the search bar you can go and you can say from the highest profits to the lower profits, and you look at the high profit products. Some of the products could have as much as 80% profits in it. So all you do is you click on that link and you say, I want to be affiliate for this product. All you have to do is copy that link, and put that link on the bio, in the bio of your TikTok or on your Instagram. And all you talk about is what that product does. So for the first few weeks, learn everything about that product. You talk about the product in the nicest way, tell people the benefits, tell them how to use it. And every time somebody watches you using that product, they can buy it. And whenever they buy it, you get commission. So you're not in charge of the product development. You're not in charge of the distribution. You're not in charge of the complaints. You're not even in charge of the customer service. All you have to do is promote the product on TikTok. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of successful guys and girls who sell that stuff. Often if you're on TikTok, when you see those girls, oh, this is the makeup, blah blah blah. Well, it's from this and this. You know what I mean? Why do you think they do that? Every time somebody clicks on the link, they get a penny, And if you look, there's products out there that are truly remarkable. Let's say you sell a piece of software or some engineering equipment or something. Things can be very, very expensive. Let's say you start selling, for example, airless sprayers, right? A good airless sprayer could be anything between 3,000 or 6,000 euro. How much do you think profit on that machine is? Right? So what you do is you can literally go to a company that sells air sprayers, and these guys are usually bad at marketing because it's all dogs that are running those companies, without any respect to older guys. But it's usually all the dogs who are running those companies, right? And they're not necessarily good at marketing. So if I could literally do it today. I could walk into 10 companies in Dublin right now and I'd say, right, listen, I'm interested in your product. I like it. What would you do if I told you that I'm going to help you sell that stuff and all I want is commission? I'm not even looking for a wage. Every one of them will say yes, including me. If you came into my office and say, man, I'm going to promote your lava stuff. I don't want any money, but I want to have a chip from everything you sell if somebody uses the promo code. There you go. That's a career in itself. You don't have to develop product. You don't have to have any great ideas. All you have to do is sell shit. Do you know what I mean? Anybody can do it. In fact, anybody should do it, There's so many ways out there to make money. There's a funny one, So there's a girl on TikTok who just goes around, does the dancing, blah, blah, blah. And then the links sends you to the OnlyFans account. And on OnlyFans, you can buy a jar of her farts for $1,000. And this girl is making 60 grand a week. Seriously, this is a true story. Look this shit up. Don't go to OnlyFans. Only losers go to OnlyFans. But yeah, this is what's happening. So you can have all the ideas in the world. If you make it work, it'll bring you more money. It'll bring you money, Another way to make money I could suggest is selling knowledge, right? Selling knowledge is very good, right? Why? Because there's zero overheads. All you have to do is develop your product as an ebook or as a course, a couple of videos. You find a website. There's a special website for courses. All you do is upload your videos in a series of lessons and you're selling knowledge. If you don't have any knowledge, gain it. You don't know where, you don't know in what area, pick one. You could even pick knowledge on, let's say, topic, let's say something off the top of my head, dog training. Right? Find the best 10 best-selling books about dog training. Maybe get yourself a dog, train him, record everything, how you're training him, this and that, and then write a program about dog training. And then start selling that product on TikTok. There you go. You'll be a millionaire in 5 years. You could be, if you did it right. If you did it right, did it from multiple TikTok accounts around Europe, everybody in Europe could know that you're the man to go to when it comes to dog training. Dog training is just one simple example, but you could do it about anything, right? All you have to do is develop a product that you can sell to the masses just by people clicking the link, So what I would advise against is that if you want to truly become a millionaire and have one or two businesses, try not to focus on service-based businesses, Like I'm doing great at the roofing because we're able to scale it and it's a highly profitable business, right? But generally speaking, any service-based business has a cap on it. This has a cap, So it doesn't matter how good you are, how many people you have working for you, it'll be hard for you to achieve success. Another good quality of a true businessman is living by respect, honesty, and loyalty, right? This is key. Whoever rolls with me has to respect me, has to be loyal, and has to be a copy of myself. If somebody works with me or even is my partner or my girlfriend, if I see some dishonesty, disloyalty, I'll dump them like an old pair of socks. In fact, I just did it recently with my board. I've seen some disloyalty, not necessarily cheating, but I saw if I see somebody lying straight into my eyes, I'll dump them straight away, and I don't give a fuck if you're my mother, my dad, my uncle, my sister, my girlfriend, or a general manager who works for me. If somebody lies to me straight into my eyes, they're gone, you know. But this has to work both ways. You have to be honest as well. You can't be expecting honesty from your staff if you're not honest yourself, you know. And this is the rule number one that I go by. I'm extremely honest. I tell people even the toughest truth into their eyes, and people respect me for that, you know. They really genuinely do. And that even goes to my clients. They often, even when I could screw some people on, you know, just to gain some profits, I tell them, now listen, you know what, let's do this, you know. I think you can save money by doing this. And they know that I could make more money by telling them the other thing, and they usually appreciate that. And that's how the ball is rolling. They recommend me to more people. They always hire me. I mean, we have companies who we deal with, and they don't get us because of the price. We're not the cheapest in many areas of my business, but people get us because we are reliable, we are loyal, and we are always on time. You know, so that's rule number one. I would say if you're trying to do business, you're trying to be great, you have to go by those rules. Loyalty is the most important, right? And that's also, you know, it's also a good way to hire people. You know, if you're looking somebody for a specific position, you know, you can always teach people a particular skill, right? But it's hard to teach people the attitude, right? Attitude is the most important. You can't teach people attitude. It's very hard. People have to become on a certain level in order to gain the attitude, because if you try to force attitude on somebody, they're not gonna get it. They're just not on that vibration level. That's it. They just cannot be taught, you know. So I'd say if you find somebody who is on a management position, offer them a job and teach them whatever you're doing. That's what I would do. That's what I did. Even in fact, almost all of the general managers who work for me in my businesses, they've been in different trades before they started with me. But I hired them because I knew that they were good at what they were doing. They had a good customer skills. They were good at communication. They had a good body language. They were good at sales. They were good at talking. If you have somebody who's good at all of those, you can teach them whatever the fuck you're doing, and then they can run the business for you. But I said it before just in this podcast, but if you hire somebody who is good at what you do, but doesn't have any of those skills, he ain't gonna be good at all, you know? So that's very important, you know? And remember, guys, ask questions in the comments. We like comments, because if you tell me question in the comment, I can do a Q&A and I could be answering some questions. And if they're funny as well, I'm looking for a good excuse to say something ridiculous, you know, but this is an Irish Success podcast. We have to be legit, but tell me some funny questions and I'll answer them for you, right? Right, guys, let's wrap this up. For the next episode, we're going to have Pat Slattery, who is a business guru, Irish business guru. I went to his seminar. He's going to be an extremely good guest on our podcast. And after that, we're going to have a guy coming to talk about property. Then we're going to have another business guru, and let's take it from there. But if you have any guys that you think that it would match the topic of this podcast, also let us know in the comments or contact us on Instagram. And we'll look into, you know, because I could be running 2 podcasts a week. I'm planning to scale this podcast next year so we can be doing 2 of them a week, not just one, you know. Okay, thank you guys. See you soon.